What's poppin', fellow nerds? Today we have a deck profile and a locals report, so let's get into it. Today we have a Red Omnimon deck profile update, teched out to beat the current meta of McDonald's and all of that wild stuff that's running around now. So to start off, we do have the same babies as we have been running, one Coromon and then 4 Digimon. I don't foresee this egg lineup changing until Red actually gets a good baby. I'm kind of jealous of all the other colors' babies. They're pretty much they all have a better baby than Red. Red kind of gets pooped on when it comes to babies, in my opinion. And starting off with our level 3s, we have our vanillas. So we're running 5 2-drops. As I said in my previous profile, these are all literally the same card. I am not maxing out 4 on either one of them just to play around Omnimon in the event that I just happen to have multiple rookies on the field. It just makes it less likely that I'll get nuked for 3 or 4 cards. But just 5 of those. Then for our non-vanilla rookies, we are still playing 4 Agumon. We're maxing out on this because we want to see it. It's always a good card. If I'm playing 4 of a card, I always want to see it because it's pretty much good no matter where you're at in the game. Plus 1000 on your turn, inheritable, always good. I love seeing this card. Nothing else to say. If you don't play 4 of this, you need to rethink your deck construction for Red. And I say that because I have seen people play less than 4 of that card. And for our last rookies, we are actually playing 3 of the promo Agumon. So this is an inheritable. While this Digimon has Greymon in its name, it gets plus 2000 DP on your turn. You'll see why we're playing this card, but I cut Gilmon because it's not good early game at all. So I would rather see a different card early game. And if you can build your stacks right, you can have certain Greymons be really big. Like Blitz, for example, is one. And I'm not maxing out on this card because I don't want to always see it, but I am playing 3 because I would like to see it at least once a game. And that's it for our rookies. We are still running 12 rookies. I don't think you need to play more than 12, honestly. Yes, you can brick occasionally and not draw a rookie, but once again, we're playing cards where it's not a huge deal if we don't draw a rookie in our first 4 or 5 turns. Then on to our level 4s. We are, of course, playing WarGreymon. So I'm not running 4. I don't want to see it all the time. I don't want to have it multiples. Like, I'm doing my best to see it, but not all the time. And then we are playing 3 Dark Tyrannomon. I know a lot of people like to max this card out because it's one to Digivolve, but I have other cards that I'd rather see as well as this card. This card is very good. It's situationally good. It's good when you want to turbo into Omnimon or something, but I would rather build my stacks with good inheritables and whatnot to put pressure on my opponent early than to just build an Omnimon for super cheap. And we are running 3 of the structure deck. Greymon, Security Attack +1 inheritable. Very good card to put pressure on your opponent. Makes your big stacks very dangerous, especially when you pair them with the red tie. And then last but most certainly not least, we are running 3 of the Greymon plus 2000 DP. So this, in my opinion, is the best level 4 that Red has access to right now. I think it's very underrated. So this inheritable is plus 2000, which is insane to me. And then its play cost from hand is only 4, and it's only a Digivolve for 2. Like, yeah, it has 4000 DP. Who cares? We're not trying to swing with this thing. We're playing it for its inheritable. But just playing, I'm like, honestly, I consider this an extension of my rookie count. So we are running just 12 champions. I'm running 3 of each of these because these are all situationally good. So I don't want to max out 4 on any of these cards because I don't want to see multiples of them. I'd rather see one of each of these in any given situation. Like, say my hand is 1, 1, 1, 1. That way I have the option, like, is Digivolving for 1 more important to me right now? Then I'll do this guy. If getting an extra security attack is more important, I'll do this guy. If being big AF is more important, I'll do this guy. If my opponent's putting offensive pressure on me, I need a blocker, this guy. None of these are good in any situation, so that's why I'm not maxing out 4 on any of them. I'd rather just play 3 of each. And now for our ultimates. So we have full playset of Groundramon. So this is essentially another champion, so it's an extension of our champion count because of the 5 cost to play it from hand. And it's very cheap to Digivolve as well. It's the cheapest, tied for the cheapest Digivolve cost of our level 5s. So this is good in pretty much any situation. I can hard play it and threaten megas on the following turn if my opponent doesn't deal with it. and I can just turbo into stuff. So in my opinion, this is a 4 of, because this is good in pretty much any situation. And for our next level 5, so we are playing WarGreymon. So this is a 3 of because I do want to see it, but not necessarily all the time. It is a very good vanilla level 5. 2 to Digivolve, 7 cost to play, 8,000 DP. So you can put early pressure on your opponent with this because of its DP. And you can Digivolve into it cheaply, but it's not good in every situation. Because if I brick hard, I don't want to see multiples discard to hard play and give my opponent tons of memory. I'd rather see a GroundJamon. And for our last level 5, we are playing 3 Secret Metal Greymons. This card is so ignorant. I don't see why more red players aren't playing this. I don't want to see it all the time because it's not good in any situation, and that's only because of its high play cost. Like, I'll pay 3 to Digivolve into this thing, but if I brick, I don't want to see this card to hard play it for 8. But it's so versatile. Like, the plus 3,000 DP inheritable is insane. Any mega on top of this is going to be swinging over almost anything in the game, depending on what the mega is. But it also just swings for 3 security by itself. Like, yeah, you lose 5 memory. Who cares? If you can get this thing up to relatively big, because it's easy to get big because it's already 9k, you can just shred your opponent's security. And against the right decks, like Rookie Rush, green, if you have the right stack, yellow, you can just obliterate their security just for free. If you have this on a structure deck, Greymon, where he's swinging for 4, like, it's so punishing just to put this on the field and just boom, swing for 3, swing for 4 security. This card is incredible. And that's it for our ultimates. We were playing 10 because I do want to see them. I don't want to get ultimate lock. And on to our megas. We're starting off with our vanillas. We are playing 2 Phoenixmon. No, I'm not playing 3. I'm not playing 4. So the goal of this deck is not actually Turbo Omnimon. The goal of this deck is apply pressure to your opponent with your ultimates and your megas, and then kill them with Omnimon. Like Omnimon is obviously a fantastic top end of a deck that can play them, but I would much rather not give my opponent 5 memory by playing an Omnimon and put pressure on them with my megas, with their effects, and just swinging for big damage. I do like the option of going from an ultimate to a mega to Omnimon in 1 turn. So I do want to play this card and see it occasionally, but I don't want to see this card all the time. I would rather see one of my megas that actually does something. And on to our used to be favorite card in this deck, WarGreymon. So with the shifting meta right now, honestly, this card has lost some of its luster. It's no longer as good. People are hard playing Craniamons and hard playing stuff. So like the D-Digivolve like almost doesn't even do anything to the decks that you're actually trying to beat. It does come into play against random rogue matchups. So like it's still good. I'm not going to cut this card. Number 1, because it's still good against rogue. And number 2, it still has piercing, which does come into play against black decks. Any decks that are playing just text Craniamons like McDonald's Deck. If he were a 3 cost to Digivolve, which probably would make him a little busted because of his D-Digivolve effect, I would probably still play 3 of this card, but in my opinion, like, because it's not good against every matchup, just random rogue matchups now, it's too high of a cost to pay just to get into a mega. Like, I would rather play a Phoenixmon against most decks that are actually good right now in the meta, so he is no longer a 3 or a 4 of, in my opinion. And our last mega, but certainly not least mega, 3 BT1 WarGreymon. This card is so good. I call this guy the Hamburglar because he just neuters the McDonald's 2-color control deck. You drop him, it's most likely not going to end your turn. 1, they always give you a ton of memory to deal with your stuff. But 2, when you're playing Red Tie, which you will see we are playing Red Tie, it guarantees you start your turn with 3 memory, even if they're trying to choke you, which it's hard for them to do if you're consistently putting threats on the board. But you drop this, and then boom, you're swinging for 2 security, and it's no options get checked. They have to hope that they have guys in there that are bigger than this guy, which most likely on one of your stacks, not gonna happen. I think the biggest thing they play is Craniamon. So like, as long as you're 13 or bigger, you're going to swing over everything and you literally don't care what their options are. Like, cool, have your TK, don't care. Have your red tie that gives you a bump on your turn, literally don't care. But as long as Gaia Force and all that wild stuff doesn't go off in your security, don't care. And that's it for Omegas. We are playing 7. I'm playing 3 of this card because I always want to see this in every single game. Even against rogue matchups, the card's still really good. So for me, I really enjoy lowering variance in card games, which I'm sure most competitive card game players would agree with me there. In this card, it lowers variance. Such a good card. Incredible card for red. And on to our 7s, obviously. 5 Omni. I did come to the realization that this one is better than this one. This one's better against rogue and random stuff. This one's just good against anything, pretty much. The only thing it doesn't deal with is Craniumon, but we have other ways to deal with Craniumon. Honestly, Craniumon's not even a big deal for this deck because, yeah, you can block one dude, but all of my stacks, if once I'm swinging into your Craniumon, like, you're going to block one of them, but it's going to die because all my dudes are way bigger than your Craniumon. So, like, I don't care that I can't Gaia Force your Craniumon. It's going to get ran the F over. But these cards are still 3 and 2. Good. Not much else to say for these guys. I mean, one of the reasons why you're playing this deck is because you have access to both of these. So, and then for our Tamers, as I alluded to earlier, we are playing 2 ties. So, I really love opening this card. And honestly, I really want to play 4 just so I can open with it consistently. But multiples are so bad. Like, yeah, cool, if I get a Mega on top of 4 Digivolution cards, I get Security Attack +1 and it stacks. But once you play 1, you literally don't ever, like, I've had multiples of these in games, and I'll play 1 and the other one just sits in my hand. So, like, playing 4 of these is a mistake in my opinion because the rest of them will be bricks. Yeah, you'll open with it more consistently, but I just don't think it's worth it. You don't need this card to win, but having this card in play makes your game so much easier. But I'm not willing to have potentially 3 bricks in my deck after opening this card. That'll happen much more often. Like, the more you play, the more likely that the rest of them will be bricks because you'll have already had one in play. Honestly, I really wish red had access to a better memory setter. I'm pretty sure the one in BT4 is going to be played over this one. I can't remember what its effect is, but there's like a 99% chance it's better than this one. Sorry, Ty, but you're not good. The effect comes into play, don't get me wrong, but I would much rather have something stupid like the yellow TK, the memory setter that lets you look at your security, which is essentially a functioning as a second hand in that situation. And then, like, if it's yellow, you get to put it back. So, like, it's a +1, and you get to look at, like, an entire other hand. So, like, in my opinion, the TK memory setter is by far the best memory setter. I think it's actually kind of broken. It's never gonna, I don't think it's ever gonna get, like, banned or anything like that, but I think they kind of goofed and, like, made it a little too OP. And then this, in comparison to most of the other memory setters, besides maybe the black tie, like, it's just not that great. And then last, but I guess not least, I don't know. We are playing 2 Gaia Force for our 49th and 50th card. Yes, it's a non-stipulation deletion of any Digimon on the field that doesn't, it's not Craniumon essentially. Honestly, it's such a brick. Like, it doesn't advance your game state, it doesn't do anything for you besides when your opponent has pressure on you. But don't get me wrong, this card is good. I just find it underwhelming in most situations, except for when it's checked in security. Being checked in security is obviously busted. That's why it's a 4 of in the McDonald's deck. I don't know, like, there have been so many games, even though I only play 2 of these because I really never want to see multiples in my hands, like, literally ever. There's so many games where I'll end up with both of these in my hand and they just sit there like the whole game. I don't know, I just think this card's a little overrated. But that is it for the deck, and now I'm going to go into my matchups. It was a 5-round locals. I played purple round 1, 1-2-1. Honestly, that deck just, like, loses to Red Omni. Like, even if you don't play optimally, you're probably going to beat that deck just because of the way that their deck runs. You just can put too much pressure on them before they get a chance to really set up. Round 2, I played against Black Craniumon. I 2-0'd him. It was essentially just he didn't really play any blockers game 1, and then game 2 he played all the blockers, but I just swarmed the field and then waited until I had enough dudes to swing for lethal. Not much to say there. Round 3 I played against Shine Greymon, and he won game 1. He got early pressure with his Tamers, and he just kept shining me repeatedly. and I just couldn't deal with it, and he overwhelmed me. I can't remember if it was game 2 or game 3 now, but let me just talk about this card for a second. So I got this guy to, I think, 11k in security attack +1, so he's swinging for 4. And I got this out super early game, turn 3 maybe. He did kind of brick. He had a clear board, no blockers, and I had the cards in my hand to recover if he did die to like a shine or something in security. So I was just like, all right, swing. This thing cleaved through 4 of his security, and he just had no shot at that point. Like, it was all ogre. Like, he just got crushed by this card. One of the reasons why I absolutely love this card is just, I just got to do that. Just boom, 4 security checks, don't care what they are, play your tamers, whatever. Now you're so far behind that like your shines don't matter. I'm just gonna keep poking for security until you're dead. I won 2-1 after losing the first game to him, and the other game I just kept offensive pressure while getting rid of his dudes to where he couldn't shine me. I think he may have gotten 1 shine off in that game, but I won 2-1. Round 4, I played against the McDonald's 2-color control. Game 1 was more of a feel-out game because I hadn't really played against a well-piloted version of that deck. So it was a feel-out game. He pretty much curb stomped me. He had momentum like the whole game. Game 2, I just went super wide. He was playing Lightning Paw. I saw it game 1, so game 2, I was just hard playing all my stuff because the way you beat that deck is you just hard play everything and just give them a bunch of memory because they're trying to 1-for-1 your stuff. So if you build up stacks, they're going to beat you every time because their security is just going to check your stacks for free. I also, because he was playing Lightning Paw, after game 1, I never had more than 1 Ricky on the field at the same time. Like, I would keep one in my breeding area if I had 1 already in the field, and I'd wait until I digivolved it into a champion before I ever brought it out. So game 2, just I had a bunch of like 5s and 4s and 1 Ricky on the field pretty much the whole time, and just kept poking his security and just kept pressure on him until I won. Game 3, so I ended up having this guy out. I think I opened with this card, and I got this guy super early game, like turn 4, turn 5, something like that. And I brought out my 5 from my breeding area, and I had 3 memory, so I just boom. He was at 13k, and he was security attack +1 because of my Greymon from the structure deck underneath him. So with him and his effect, he's swinging for 4 memory, and there's nothing in that deck that can check this. And I just swung for 4 memory on like turn 3, and the first thing it checked was a Gaia Force, and then I just cleaved through the rest of his memory and just said LOL. I call this guy the Hamburglar because he just ruins that deck so hard. Like, he played a couple recovery cards, and like it lasted like, I don't know, like 10 turns after that maybe. But this card is MVP of this deck now. Like, the random security cards, like, it doesn't matter. This guy cuts down variants. You just make him big enough to run over whatever is the biggest thing in their deck, and you can swing freely at security, and you literally don't care about anything. They don't have any effects that can get rid of this. Yeah, their Tamers activate, and their security Digimon get to summon themselves to the field. Who cares? They're 4K beaters. And round 5, I played against Red Ragna. I won 2-1. That matchup is pretty much just take out all of his security before he built up his Ragna stack, while also memory choking him, which I was able to do, and ended up taking it down 2-1 and went undefeated for the tournament. So I would highly recommend trying this build. And also just let me know, like, what are your thoughts on this deck? Like, what would you change? What do you like about this deck? And if you do try it, let me know how it feels for you. But if you guys do enjoy deck profiles like this, make sure to like and subscribe so I know to do it some more. Until next time, see ya.